My name is Susan Nguku. I live and work in Kenya, in Kitui County. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture as a Ward Agriculture Extension Supervisor. We are going to just start with a video showing how some of the communities were reacting to the locust invasion.
Katika jina la Yesu toka, hata kama umetumwa na nani, mali sababu nyinyi wa nini, mali sababu
wa locust,
mali sababu wa locust, I command you
now. Testing locust from his farm. He likens them to the Al-Shabaab because to him they are terrorists. So this is how the communities reacted when they first saw the locust. So we can go to my presentation. Yeah, so I've come, I have a write-up on how we manage them and how they came in. So we can go to the next slide. So this is the map of Kenya. So Kitui County is here. You can see we are surrounded by other counties. To the north we have Isiolo, to the east we have Tana River, to the south we have Taita Taveta, then to the west we have Machakos and Makueni counties. To the north west we have Meru and Tharaka Nithi. The direction of the locust movement was from Marsabit. The first direction was that way into the county, and the locusts would split and go to other parts of the country. Then the other directions to which they came was from Garissa County through Tana River and to Kitui again, and where they would break into swamps and spread to the other counties. Can move to the next one. So Kitui County is divided into 8 sub-counties. We have Mwingi North, Mwingi West, Kitui Rural, Kitui Central, Kitui East, and Kitui South. Move on. Okay. So the sub-counties are further divided into 40 wards and 247 villages. The county covers an area of 30,496.4 kilometers square, and the population according to the 2019 census is 136,187. So these are the way the sub-counties are. We have the northern sub-county, which is Mwingi North. We have Mwingi Central, Kitui East, Mwingi West, Kitui Rural, Kitui Rural here, and then we have Kitui South. Of all those sub-counties, only Kitui Central was left without, did not get the locusts coming in. But the rest of the counties, the locusts came in and they did some damage. So in total, we say we had 4 swarms. As I said, they came through the north and they kept on splitting. I don't have to go into those details. And as they swept off, they would go through. We also bordered with by some parks, national parks. We have at the north, we have a park called Kora National Park, and to the south we have Savo National Park. So they would come in through the north, through the national park in Meru, and then they would go out through the Savo National Park as they spread to other parts of the county. So the nature of the desert locust that invaded the county, we had 3 different classes or stages. Initially, we had pink, the pink colored ones, which were immature adults. They were followed later on by the yellow the yellow ones, which laid their eggs in the northern part of the county. Now, previously, the first swarms that came in were the pink swarms, but they were chased away very quickly by people shouting and screaming at them. And then the county government, together with the national government, came in, and there was aerial spraying in some parts of the county. They were followed by the yellow mature dry locusts, and these locusts now took their time in the northern part of the county. They took their time in the northern part of the county around this spot here, around here, and around this area. They had time because before the government intervened, both the national and the county government, it was around 3 weeks. And around this area, they took time to breed, to mate, and to lay eggs. And maybe, Abraham, you can just show us the yellow dry locusts, desert locusts.
You mean these ones?
The yellow ones, I'm yet to see them.
Okay.
The yellow adult ones. Yeah. So here they are in Mwingi North. And at this particular point, when the second time they came, it took the government time to come and spray on them. So because in some areas they were inhabiting places where there was not much population, they took time, and you can see that they are mating, and also they are laying. They're laying as they mate. Abraham, could you go back to the slides? Yeah. So then we had the yellow ones. Then within 2 weeks, and within 3 weeks, the eggs that were laid hatched into the blackish nymphs. And this proved to be a nuisance. And I will also ask Abraham to show us a video of a homestead where they attacked, where they were laid near. The one with the nymphs. So as you can see from the background, maybe continue showing it. This woman's homestead has been invaded by the nymphs, and she cannot even be able to use her compound well, because if she opens her door, they'll get into the house. They'll get into the house. We can go back to the slides. Can go back to the slides. So that was the nature, the stages that we were able to see in the county. When we are talking with the farmers, many of them have never seen locust in their lifetime. The ones who were able to see locust were 75 years and above. The other generations were not able to see them in their lifetime. So this was their first time. And it was exciting and also scary. Now, the effects of the locust invasion, in total, 7 out of the 8 sub-counties were invaded or infested. And the particular species that they preferred was vegetation, which included acacia, pasture grasses, and food crops like cowpeas, palm millet. They were attacking the palm millet heads and leaves, the maize, and pigeon peas. The locusts were also a nuisance, especially where young nymphs were hatched near homesteads.
Sorry, Susan, that's my mistake. I did something.
Yeah, we can go back to the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, estimated pasture and crop damage. Vegetation damage was estimated at 8,364 metric tons of browse. and pastures, valued at 83 million shillings, Kenya shillings. I'm sorry that I didn't put the currencies here. As you can see, this is secondary data from the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Livestock Development. Food crops damage was also estimated at 1,476 metric tons, valued at 88 million shillings. Sorry, I didn't put that there also. And again, this is a secondary data from the report from the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Livestock Development. So the control and coping mechanisms that the county, national government, and the communities employed. From the national government provided pesticides and aerial spraying. Also, when the nymphs now hatched, they sent 100 National Youth Servicemen to the ground for ground spraying. The national government also provided insecticides. The county government, on the other hand, supported the combat through coordinating and providing ground support, surveillance, and indication of roosting sites, because they would be swarming during the day from 9 o'clock in the morning. They would gather. They would gather and then swarm. Then in the evening, they would begin roosting from 6:30 p.m. From 6 to 6:30, they would begin roosting. So the work of the county government, which included the officers on the ground in the wards and in the villages, was to do surveillance and identification of roosting sites, and after that provide coordinates to the county government, who would work with the national government so that aerial spraying would be begun the next day. Now, the aerial spraying was done from 8, but prior to that, the people on the ground, that is in the wards and in the villages, at 7:30 in the morning, they would wake up and mark the boundaries. You know, apart from providing the coordinates to the exact position and exact location of the roosting grounds, they would also have to mark the boundaries where within which their roosting sites were. So the boundaries were marked using smoke that was generated by burning of materials like dry leaves mixed with green vegetation, so that they would produce thick cloud smokes that the pilot in the plane would be able to see and be able to spray and cover the area that is affected. Other provision was fuel and lubricants, heavy truck vehicles to be able to access the areas that were not easily accessible. Sometimes we were also forced to use batteries for the ULV pumps for spraying on the ground, although it was not recommended, but at certain points we found ourselves using them. The pesticides that were used included the low volumes for aerial spraying, where we used malathion and penetrathion. Ground spraying, we used Marshall and Massman. Initially, malathion was used, but it was not effective as penetrathion. The communities also played a part in trying to control the locusts. Most of them were impatient. They would not wait for the aerial spraying, so they would burn materials that would create smoke, e.g. plastic containers, worn-out tires, dried twigs, and also green leaves. Another method of combating included screaming, beating drums, metallic containers, shooing them away using twigs, branches, informing local authorities, praying, using school children to scream at them because schools were in session at that particular time. and when they would be swarming nearby the schools, the children would scream them away. And they also tried to use some black magic by chanting and speaking to them to change the direction to go to the other counties. That was one strategy that they used. Challenges that were encountered included poor weather conditions like rains and clouds and fogs, which hindered spray operations, because sometimes in the evening after sending the coordinates and in the morning marking the boundaries using the smoke, you find that the weather would change suddenly and the planes would not come. So this meant that it was left for the communities to scream them away, shoo them, and push them to the next neighboring counties. Another challenge was the low efficacy of pesticide, especially malathion, which was initially used. Often, aerial spraying would stop because of a shortage of pesticides, so they would claim, and so the communities had to wait long. And then it had, most of the time now was spent in chasing the locusts by shooing them, and so school would interrupt. Even the normal duties at home in the communities were also interrupted because they now had to use their physical means to chase them away. There was also inadequate sensitization of communities on control of desert locust. You know, this was something new to the current generation because they've not seen it before. And so because they're not seen it and they were not prepared on how this is combated, they actually interfered a lot with the operations of spraying. So they would chase them instead of getting rid of them. They would kind of move them to the next neighbor or the next county by screaming them away. So there was inadequate sensitization, preparation for them to be able to know how to combat them. There was inadequate personal protective equipment. There's poor infrastructure in terms of mobile network, especially in the Tharaka ward. Some wards had poor connectivity in terms of networks, mobile networks. So for the county headquarters and the other stakeholders who could help in spraying them to get to them, it would be quite some task. So they would shoo them away to the next county. Difficult terrain for ground spraying, because sometimes you have to park the vehicle far and have to walk long distances before you get to the next area of breeding ground. The fears and threats were, there was fear. Now, because the second lot were able to breed in Mwingi North. But before we get to Mwingi North, there's a forest, there's a reserve called the Kora Reserve and the Meru National Park. So there were fears, especially that there could have been established other breeding grounds which were accessible, and they were going to affect the upcoming cropping season of the March, April, and May short rains. Way forward, or conclusion, together as a team, the way forward as decided by the stakeholders was that there should be increase of surveillance along the paths of the migratory desert locust. Surveillance is important because with that we know it's like an early warning system so that we can be able to prepare for combat. To build the capacities of the local communities towards identification of the desert locust, because now any grasshopper they saw, it was a locust, and it created fear. People were beginning to harvest their crop, and some crop were just approaching maturity. So anything that they saw that looked like a grasshopper caused fear. So it is important the capacities of the local communities are built towards identifying what a desert locust is and networking for relaying of information, timely information, because when there is no poor networking, then timely intervention is also interfered with. Training of extension workers and other stakeholders on desert locust control and management. Timely dissemination of information to stakeholders prior to cropping seasons on the likelihood of infestation, expected swarms and their size, and the likely routes they may follow. I want to just say something little about this. Usually before a cropping season, before the rains, we usually have two rainy seasons in our country. We have the short rainy seasons of October, November, and December, and we have the long rainy seasons of March, April, May. And during this time, we usually are able to share information on the amount of rain we are likely to receive, the temperatures, and the crops that should be grown. So it is important also that we also give them information in terms of should there be any locust attack, so that they may have preparedness, and also likely routes that they may follow. Again, another one is timely control mechanisms to be put in place to avoid massive destruction to vegetation, crops, pasture, and browse. I think that's that. Thank you.